All right, ever feel like you need a decoder ring just to understand what's going on in the tech world?
Yeah, sometimes it feels like you're drowning in acronyms, right?
Totally. Well, today we're tackling one that's becoming pretty important, Universal CPE, or uCPE for short, if you want to sound extra techy.
Catchy, Ray.
It is actually. And it's more than just a buzzword, it's really changing how businesses think about their networks. We're going to break it all down today. Even got some excerpts from, official industry definitions and stuff, so we're going right to the source.
Behind the curtain.
Yeah,
It can get pretty dense, but we'll make sure it all makes sense.
exactly. So, to start, what is uCPE thing? Imagine a cloud, but instead of being out there in some massive data center, it's right there in your office.
Or a branch office, a retail store, anywhere you need it.
Right, that's the universal part, I guess. So it's like your own personal cloud.
Kind of. uCPE is all about taking the power and flexibility of the cloud and bringing it on premises.
Okay, I'm intrigued. But what does it actually look like?
Think of it as a regular server, the kind you might already have in your IT closet. But this one's loaded with special software.
Ah, so it's not just the hardware, it's what's running on it that makes it uCPE.
Exactly. And the software is where things get interesting. You'll see names like Linux, KVM, OpenStack.
Okay, some of those are familiar, or at least I've heard of Linux. But what are they doing in this uCPE world?
They're the foundation for creating a virtualized environment. Think of it as a way to run multiple network functions on a single piece of hardware.
Wait, so instead of having a separate box for your firewall, another one for routing and so on, it's all happening on this one uCPE server?
Exactly. And that's one of the biggest advantages of uCPE. It consolidates all those functions into a single platform.
Okay, that makes sense. Less hardware, less clutter. But what about the software itself? I mean, where does it come from?
That's another key aspect of uCPE, the multi-vendor aspect.
Multi-vendor. Does that mean I can mix and match software from different companies?
You got it. You're not locked into a single vendor anymore. You can choose the best-of-breed software for each function from different vendors.
Okay, that sounds pretty awesome in terms of flexibility. But, and I'm sure there's a but, doesn't that make things more complicated to manage? Having all these different pieces from different companies.
That's a valid concern. And it's true, managing a multi-vendor environment can be a bit more challenging, at least traditionally. But the industry is moving towards standardized interfaces and protocols, which should smooth out a lot of those compatibility issues.
So it's getting easier to make all these different pieces play nicely together.
Exactly. And when you weigh the benefits of that flexibility, the ability to choose the best software for your specific needs, it often outweighs the added complexity.
Okay, I'm starting to see the appeal. But I still have a question, and maybe this is getting too technical, but how does all this actually work? We've got this powerful server, all this software, but what's the magic behind it?
The magic, as you call it, is something called Network Function Virtualization, or NFV for short.
NFV, another acronym. But seriously, what is that?
Think of it this way. In the past, every network function you needed, whether it was routing, firewall security, WAN optimization, each one required a dedicated piece of hardware.
So it's a lot of equipment. Expensive, bulky, power-hungry.
Exactly, a real headache to manage. But with NFV, those hardware functions are transformed into software, what we call virtual network functions, or VNFs.
VNFs, got it. So instead of a rack full of devices, I have one uCPE server running virtual versions of all those things.
Precisely. It's like having one powerful kitchen appliance that can do it all, instead of a separate gadget for every single task.
I like that analogy. Makes it much easier to understand. So we've covered the what. Let's talk about the why. Why is uCPE such a big deal? What are the real benefits for businesses?
The benefits are numerous, but let's focus on the ones that really hit home. Adaptable bandwidth, for example.
Okay, adaptable bandwidth. What does that even mean?
Imagine you're launching a new product or service, and suddenly you're hit with a massive surge in website traffic.
Every business owner's dream, right?
Right. But your network needs to be able to handle that spike in demand. With uCPE, you can scale your bandwidth up or down almost instantly.
Really? So I could just, adjust it on the fly?
Pretty much. It's like changing your Netflix plan. You can upgrade or downgrade as needed. You're not stuck with a fixed bandwidth capacity anymore.
Wow. That's impressive. No more waiting weeks for a technician to come and install a new line or upgrade your hardware.
Exactly. It's all about agility and responsiveness in today's fast-paced business world.
Okay, adaptable bandwidth. I'm sold. What else?
How about decreased capital expenditure?
You're speaking my language now. Saving money, that's always a good thing.
With uCPE, you're essentially consolidating multiple hardware appliances into a single server. That means lower upfront costs, less maintenance, reduced energy consumption.
It's like the gift that keeps on giving. But there's got to be some costs involved, right? I mean,
Mm.
the server itself, the software licenses, it can't all be free.
You're right, there are initial investments involved, but the long-term cost savings from reduced operating expenses and increased efficiency often make uCPE a very attractive option.
Okay, so it's not just about the initial price tag, it's about the total cost of ownership over time.
Exactly. And when you factor in the other benefits, like increased flexibility and agility, it becomes a pretty compelling case for uCPE.
So we've got the cost savings, the adaptable bandwidth. What else is there?
How about multi-vendor on-demand services?
Okay, break that down for me. What does that mean?
Remember how we talked about uCPE being multi-vendor? Well, that means you have the freedom to choose the best software for your specific needs from different vendors, and you can deploy those services on demand.
So if I need a new security feature, I can just download and install it on my uCPE server.
You got it. No more waiting for a vendor to send you a new piece of hardware or schedule a technician visit. You can implement new services and features in real time.
Okay, that's starting to sound a bit like science fiction. Is it really that simple?
It's getting there. The technology is advancing rapidly, and the goal is to make it as seamless and user-friendly as possible.
So real-time service implementation, that's a big one.
Okay.
What other benefits are we missing?
Let's not forget about automated and scheduled patch management, wireless backup, centralized management.
Okay, those are a lot of techie terms. What do they mean for someone who just wants their network to work?
It means easier management, increased security, and reduced downtime. uCPE can automate a lot of the tedious tasks that used to require manual intervention.
So it's not just about saving money, it's also about saving time and headaches.
Absolutely. uCPE is all about making your network more efficient, more reliable, and easier to manage.
Okay, so we've established that uCPE is pretty awesome, but how does it fit into the bigger picture of things like edge computing and cloud computing? Is it a separate thing or is it all connected somehow?
That's a great question, and it highlights how uCPE is actually a key enabler for both edge computing and cloud computing.
Okay, you're going to have to explain that one.
Sure, edge computing is all about bringing computation and data storage closer to the source of the data. Think about things like IoT devices, sensors, anything that's generating data in real time.
So instead of sending all that data back to a central cloud for processing, you're doing it right there at the edge of the network.
Exactly. And that's where uCPE comes in. It can be deployed at the edge, closer to those devices, enabling real-time data processing and reducing latency.
Latency.
That's the delay that happens when data has to travel back and forth to a central location. By processing data at the edge, you can significantly reduce that delay, which is crucial for things like real-time analytics or applications that require instant responses.
Okay, I get it. So uCPE is like the bridge between the devices at the edge and the central cloud.
You could say that. It allows you to extend the capabilities of the cloud to the edge of the network, creating a more distributed and efficient computing environment.
And what about cloud computing itself? How does uCPE play into that?
uCPE can act as a seamless bridge between your on-premises network and the cloud, allowing you to integrate the two environments more effectively.
So I can have some applications running on my uCPE server, others in the cloud, and it all works together smoothly.
That's the idea. It's about having the flexibility to choose the best platform for each application, whether it's on-premises or in the cloud.
Okay, so uCPE benefits businesses by giving them more control, more flexibility, and more cost efficiency. But what about service providers? What's in it for them?
Service providers also have a lot to gain from uCPE. It enables them to offer more flexible and customizable services to their customers. They can quickly deploy new services and features without having to send technicians out to physically install equipment.
So it's faster and more efficient for them as well.
Exactly. It reduces their operational costs and allows them to be more responsive to customer demands. It's a win-win situation.
All right, you've convinced me. uCPE is a game changer. But before we wrap things up, what's the one key takeaway you want our listener to remember about uCPE?
If there's one thing to take away from this deep dive, it's that uCPE represents a shift in power. It's about putting more control and flexibility in the hands of businesses and reducing their reliance on traditional telecom providers. It's about building networks that are truly tailored to their specific needs and priorities.
So it's not just a technology upgrade, it's a fundamental shift in how we think about network infrastructure.
Exactly. It's about empowering businesses to take control of their digital destiny.
The next time you hear universal CPE, remember that it's not just another buzzword. It's a sign of a more agile, more flexible, and ultimately more user-centric future for networking.
The future is here, and it's universal.
Love it. Thanks for diving deep with us today.
Anytime.